Yeah.
Kiwi, totally native to New Zealand. You will not find them anywhere else on the planet other than some zoos around the world. I think San Diego has got 4 Kiwi. Yes, they came from New Zealand, but they're never going to be coming back here to be part of the breeding program. Anyway, Kiwi are the oldest order of birds in New Zealand. They are a ratite, and that comes from the Latin meaning flat or raft. There's no keel bone, so it's totally flat chested.
Oh.
They're related to other flightless birds, also ratites. So your ostrich, emu, cassory, rhea, tinnimus, which you find in South America, now extinct elephant bird, and our now extinct moa, which was the biggest bird to ever live, and that got to about 4 meters tall.
Wow.
That was hunted to extinction. Last one was seen probably around about 16th century, potentially. Right. What we have here are the variety of kiwi known as the North Island brown kiwi or the brown kiwi, Apteryx mantellae to give you the Latin. It is the most common of all the kiwi varieties. There are 5 different varieties of kiwi in New Zealand. North Island brown, as it says, found on the North Island in various different areas. The other varieties you will tend to find on the South Island. Now they're all endangered, some are critically so. For example, North Island brown, which we've got here, they number about 25,000. Other end of the spectrum, you've got the rowie, which is found on the South Island in one area around the Franz Josef Glacier region, and that numbers anywhere between 400 to 600 birds. So there's a great range, quite a broad diversity. So this will give you your population areas.
Nice.
North Island browns. This is your great spotted, which is the biggest variety of kiwi. That will get to about that high. Your Tokawika, which is also found on Stewart Island, and anecdotally that is the best place that most people, tourists, have actually seen kiwi in the wild. You can live in New Zealand your entire life
I've never seen one.
and never see one. I've been here for 17 years, and the only experience I've had of kiwi in the wild is actually hearing them. Still not seen them. Okay. Now, just to give you a brief rundown, excuse me.
No problem.
This is what you're looking at. So, North Island brown kiwi. So in terms of size and weight, she's in the middle of all the varieties.
They're pretty.
The biggest, as I said, is the great spotted, and she'll get to about there. The smallest will be the little spotted, which will be about 2/3 of her size. Now, this one has been on this piece of wood for quite a long period of time, so she's gone blonde. Most North Island brown kiwi are more my colour, but with less grey hair. So she's bleached. Now, if I very gently lift her feathers up, you can see she was a lot darker underneath. You see?
Okay, that's good.
Right. Now, I'll just get you some feathers.
Yeah.
This is a feather known as a finiform feather. Now, this is off the birds that we've actually got in our enclosure. You can see they're a lot darker. They're all the same shape, but just different sizes. Even these ones here, the little tiny feathers, again the same shape but small.
Wow.
Whiskers. These, generally speaking, will be as long as the widest part of their body. Now, kiwi live on the ground. They go into burrows. They go into the roots of trees. The feathers are like a cat using a cat flap. It's about spatial awareness. So if these fit into the hole, her butt's going to fit into the hole. But they also have muscles as well, and they can move individually, and this is actually detecting movement in the undergrowth for insects, earthworms, beetles, spiders, all sorts of things. Now, kiwi are nocturnal. They only come out at night. To see one during the day, generally speaking, isn't normal. If you do see one, it could be extreme drought conditions where they're desperately trying to find food, and so they're still awake. The burrow may have been disturbed, or it could be a juvenile that's ill, something like that. But to see one during the day really isn't usual. Okay. Now, kiwi, how long can they live for? Any guesses?
5 years.
20.
You're closer. Kiwi can live upwards of 50 plus years.
50 years.
Yeah, and they can carry
I
on.
guess add a 0 on my 5.
Yeah, add a 0 on your 5. 10 times a little bit longer than your estimate. Given the opportunity. Right. Now, in the wild, kiwis born in the wild they've got a 5% chance of reaching their first birthday.
Wow.
Okay,
5%.
5% chance of reaching their first birthday. But they're not prolific egg layers. In a good year, a female kiwi could have 4, possibly 5 eggs. She has 2 breeding seasons a year, and she's got 2 working ovaries, so she can produce an egg in 28 days, lay another one 28 days later, and she can do that twice a year. And I'm saying eggs, there's still no guarantee you'll get that many chicks. And those that do hatch in the wild, as I say, only 5% will reach the first birthday. The reason for that is because of all the predation. New Zealand used to be a nation of birds. The only land mammals that existed here, pre-human, were 3 varieties of bat, which are about this big, so it didn't bother the kiwi. So they all only had to worry about like the moa and the now extinct harsed eagle, things like that. With the advent of human beings, Maori, European, whoever, we have introduced every single land mammal that you now see here. So all of them have either had an indirect or direct effect on the native bird population. Not just kiwi, but everything. So in 300 years, for example, the population of kiwi has actually dropped from 20 million, estimated, down to 70,000. And that 70,000 covers all the 5 different varieties of kiwi, and those that are in the captive and managed program, and the estimates of kiwi in the wild. The reason we're here is we're part of the captive and managed kiwi program, and we look after the kiwi until they're old enough to start breeding, which is around about the age of 3.5, 4, and then they're released into a protected sanctuary, which means they've got a significantly higher chance of survival, and any offspring they have will be wild kiwi, which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so hopefully we can avoid that 5% survival rate. Now in the wild at the moment, they are still, the population is dropping by a rate of 2% a year, which isn't good. But in captive and managed programs, the numbers are beginning to go up. You know, so 100 years time, will there still be a kiwi around? Hopefully, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we're hoping so. So anyway, given the opportunity, kiwi can live upwards of 50 plus years, and they can carry on breeding into their late 40s. So if you look at it of a lifetime span, yes, they could have quite a lot of offspring potentially. Do they bond for life? Generally speaking, they do. Mr. and Mrs. Kiwi, if you will. Kiwi do not live in flocks and colonies either.
Oh.
They're not into the group family thing. They're maniacally territorial, and that's one of the reasons why we here only have 2 birds. Again, Mr. and Mrs. Kiwi. If we had a 3rd bird, it could potentially be very messy. Kiwi will actually fight to kill. They look cute and fluffy. No, they're actually vicious. And what they will use these big feet and these big spurs and these claws. And 2/3 of their body weight is taken up with the legs. And this is for running at speed. They can outrun a fit human being.
Over 30 miles?
Yeah, probably. Around about, yeah, probably a little bit more potentially.
Wow.
In a short spurt. They're not going to run a marathon, but
Right,
they
right.
will run very fast. Prolific burrow diggers. In the wild, they will dig upwards of 40 plus burrows around a central nesting burrow.
Mm-hmm.
So fighting, digging, and running. This looks sharp and pointy, but it is never used as an offensive weapon. The only things I've seen them stab are leaves, and then there's been some frenetic headbanging trying to get the leaf off the beak.
So what do they feed on?
They're basically omnivores, but with a leaning towards insects and arachnids and earthworms and things like that. But they will eat fruit, plant matter, berries, that sort of thing. Now her nostrils, and this is one of the senses they rely on, is their sense of smell. Her nostrils are actually at this end of the beak. Most other birds will have them here, what we like to think of as being the bridge of the nose, but it's actually down here.
Wow.
Now you can, if I gently lift her up, you can see there's 2 slits here. Can you see on the end?
Yeah.
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 And you won't
Really
be able.
small.
Yeah, you won't be able to hear it, but they constantly snuffing, tasting the air, and they will actually stick their beak into water and blow bubbles to actually get the dirt out of their nostrils. But they have an incredible sense of smell, also sense of hearing. This is a very large ear cavity. Now this compensates for their poor eyesight. I mean, if you can see, the eye aperture is actually quite small, which is quite surprising for a nocturnal bird. You'd expect a nocturnal bird to have an incredibly good eyesight. No! Kiwi, it's shockingly bad. To the point, if they get spooked, they will run into things at speed. I've even seen them run into each other. I've seen them completely miss the entrance of their burrows and they're scrabbling trying to get in. But their eyesight is really bad. You can say, right, that the kiwi's got one of the shortest beaks in the world because you measure a bird's beak from the nostrils to the tip.
Oh.
This is actually bone. It's an extension of her skull. It's got it'll have sensory pits down it. Her tongue does not get to the end. It's a little tiny triangle.
Oh.
Now, can you roll your tongue?
No.
Can you? That's a hereditary thing, by the way. So if your mum and dad could do it, chances are you can. But a kiwi has a little triangle tongue, and it's almost as if she's rolling the tongue because there's a channel going down the middle. A little triangle. And they're quite interesting when they're eating. It's like me using chopsticks. It's very, very precise and very accurate. But they are also messy eaters as well. They will fling stuff about. And when they drink, they will scoop and sort of tip their head back. Now, talking about the territorialism, depending on pre-existing kiwi population within a given region, you will have several territories, and that population will actually determine the size of their territory. So it could extend to, what, 3 kilometres in diameter?
That's huge.
It could be huge, or it could be
For a little bird.
Or it could be the equivalent size of what we've got here. It depends on the pre-existing kiwi population. And their call, when they start calling, usually around about 18 months, 2 years of age, that call can extend for 2.5 kilometres. One will start calling, "Where are you, my love?" "I'm over here, my dear." And also, "Keep off my land. This is my place." The key thing with the kiwi call is it's very repetitive, anywhere between 10 to 20 calls, and it is ear-splitting. I've had occasion where we've had mature kiwi. I've gone into the environment to put the supplementary food in. It started calling. It was a particularly bold bird called Newbird, who's now down at Oterahara in Hamilton. He started calling, and I actually had to put my fingers in my ears because it hurt. It's that loud. At the moment, the 2 kiwi that we've got, they're technically speaking still chicks. They haven't found their voice yet. So they're still in sort of grunt and squeak mode. And also they're in a fairly platonic relationship at the moment. The amorous activity doesn't start kicking in until about the age of 2.5 and 3. But at the moment they're just getting on with each other. Now, I was talking about eggs, wasn't I? This is the X-ray. Now this doesn't happen anymore. This picture was actually taken in the 70s. Obviously a female, so this is the line of the egg, only 1 egg at a time.
Huge eggs.
Huge eggs. It's
Holy
the
smoke.
largest egg relative to the size of the bird. Anywhere
Poor
between 15 to 20% of her own body weight. You're projecting human qualities onto this. Don't forget they've been around for 80 million years.
I know.
So this area here is her stomach, and because it's black, it's because they've got little stones in it. These are known as gizzard stones, and this will aid the digestion of all the insects and things in her stomach that she eats. But you can see there's no protection. There's no rib cage as such. Now, this is really the vulnerable area. This area here on a kiwi. Even puppies could kill a kiwi. Cats, if they go for this area, they die from crushing, basically. Weasels, stoats, they will go for this area. We have to be careful when we pick kiwi up on the odd occasion. We have to. You have to hold on really, really tightly to the legs because you do not want to be kicked by these. Hot knife through butter scenario. Slice you open. And then tip them upside down and cradle them. Your first instinct with a wriggling bird, bring it in, stop it wriggling. Do that, we run the risk of killing it because this is such a vulnerable area. Now you can see the bend in that neck. I was talking about the call before. When they start calling, they will fling that head back and stretch their neck. It's projecting that voice. So they can get up to about there. So big. And the full stretch. Okay, so this egg. The female kiwi will produce an egg that's 15 to 20% of her own body weight in 28 days. And and you are looking at something that size. Okay? Well, that way. Yeah, that way. This is a replica, but it is the correct weight and the correct size. Do you want to have a hold of that? So you're looking about, what, half a pound? Pound? Half pound. Half pound, I think.
Yeah, could be a little bit close to a pound. Yeah.
Pound, yeah, 460 grams, so yeah, that'll be about a pound. I have difficulty converting between imperial and metric. I should know, because I'm on the age where I'm on both sides of that, but anyway. Okay. Now this will go some way to explain why the female kiwi is always bigger than the male and has a longer beak, significantly longer. And I know this is the female because of the length of the beak. Male kiwi will probably get their beak to about that length. Consider the amount of energy she's expended producing this egg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She will physically stop eating before she lays this egg because she can't fit anything in.
Mm-hmm.
So she lays the egg in a burrow, and that's all about temperature control. Nothing to do with predators. It's about temperature control. And it is Mr. Kiwi that will then incubate the egg. On average, anywhere between 74 to 83 days. And I'm talking specifically about North Island brown kiwi. That's my main experience. She's then off protecting her territory. He's incubating this egg for just under 3 months. He has to fend for himself. He still has to go and feed for himself. She's not bringing him any food. She's protecting her territory. Possibly getting jiggy with another male kiwi. You know, that's what they do. Same as penguins and other birds. Possibly humans too, but anyway, we won't go there. But when it hatches, it comes out, it is fully formed, fully fledged. It's a miniature version of its parents. And it's basically independent from day one. And before, I said about the territoriality, right? This will extend to their own offspring to a certain degree. So a few weeks, a few months after hatching, on your bait, mate, go and find your own home. Don't want you around here anymore. And this is where you have the problem with all the predation. You're this big, you've been kicked out, you're going to have issues when you're faced with cats and dogs and possums and ferrets and weasels and stoats and everything else that is competing for the same food source. Never mind humans and their cars and displacing the territory. So yeah, so there you go. Do you have any questions?
That's amazing. There's a lot of stuff that we never know about kiwi. That's the first time I know about it.
Well, I have to say, when I first came over from the UK, and believe me, I'm part of the husbandry team, and I actually go in occasionally, and it's my weekend to actually do the kiwi tomorrow. I'm here at the moment, shiny happy face. When I first came from the UK, my expectations of kiwi totally blown out of the water. All I was expecting was just one type of kiwi. I didn't realise there were 5 different varieties. I was expecting something this big. I was expecting something that was slow and waddled like a duck. I'm faced with these. It completely blew me out of the water, it really did. Totally different to what I was expecting. And they are a national treasure. They are a taonga. They are revered by Maori. The feathers would be retained to make the kahu korowai for the cloaks. They were imbued with the spirit, or the wairua Tane, god of the forest. They volunteered to look after the forest and get rid of all the bugs and grubs. It's essentially an evolution story, if you think about it. Kernel of truth in all fairy tales, and all myths and legends. So they lost the power of flight. There are 2 schools of thought though. They never developed the power of flight in the first instance. I mean, if you look at the now extinct moa, there's no evidence of wings there at all. Or they had the power of flight and then they lost it. Because they've got a very, very tiny vestigial limb. So if you think of the dinosaur Tyrannosaurus rex, great big legs, basically the shape of the kiwis go with. Anyway, so they're there on behalf
Do people eat them?
This was it. They were eaten, but more for ceremonial purposes. As I said, they were imbued with the wairua spirit of Tane, god of the forest. Chiefs would eat them, and they would keep the feathers and turn those into the cloaks. Now the moa, on the other hand, which could be this big, up to 4 meters tall, that was a big KFC bucket type scenario. That was food. That was a food source. These weren't. but were eaten for ceremonial purposes, but not as a major food source. There's a difference. And they're still revered now. It's the national icon of the UK, of New Zealand. I'm saying the UK. They're also the symbol of the Royal New Zealand Air Force, which I actually think is quite ironic. I'm hoping that whoever thought about having flightless birds as the symbol for the Air Force was doing it ironic. I hope so. But they're revered. They are a national treasure. We have to keep the feathers. These are the feathers of our birds in that enclosure. We have to keep them. We cannot give them away. We cannot sell them. We have to collect them, and the Department of Conservation will take them. And then any iwi, Maori tribes, will then apply for the feathers to use for their traditional craft.
Cool.
So if you see a feather in the bush, kiwi feather, leave it where it is. You run the risk of being fined
Arrested.
big time, potentially. Leave it where it is.
All right.
And if you see a kiwi in distress, ring Doc. The Doc have got a kiwi hotline, and if you see any eggs, ring the Department of Conservation. Don't even try and pick it up or anything like that. So you need to ring Doc.
How did you say they find each other in the woods, males and females?
They call. She says that they call. They make a call. That shrieking call.
Oh yeah. Have you got the call, Joey? Yeah. My colleague Joey will play the call for you. When you're listening at night, you will hear it. It's the repetition that is the key thing. And
They're
it's
totally
very
different.
calls.
And they repeat.
There's a few things up here.
Cool.
Okay, I'm gonna show you the other one.
Which one is this?
The
The
first
bigger
one
one?
is a female.
Oh, that's a female.
Yeah.